It's all about peace, spreading love in the world. So I gotta represent rebels for joy, positivity. You know that we're all about it. Magic happens when you align your purpose, passion, and power. Just believe in your greatness. I know for sure the light that you radiate too strong to ignore. Emotional revolution. It's time that we start. Love, we need more. We are rebels for joy. Woo!
Hey, sisters, welcome back to another episode of Rebels for Joy. And sister, you are in for a treat. If you have had any sort of battle or struggle with food, diet, exercise, body shaming, like you name it, then this girl is going to shed some light on some inner peace. Like, this is my girl, Erica Ballard. Hi, sis.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
You know I'm excited to have you on the show, right?
I'm ready. I'm here for it.
Awesome. So, Erica Ballard is a wizard at health and wellness. We're gonna talk about her story. She works with a lot of companies. She works with helping people who are really busy fit health into their lives. So I really want you girls to tune into this, because all of us there have been bombarded with diet fads and yo-yo dieting and exercise, strains, and it's just a mess. And we're gonna get some clarity around that, aren't we, girl?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, please. Let's talk clarity on that.
I love it. Okay, but before we go, you know the rules. Like this show, we always open up with some jokes, some puns, some funny stories. And I love the fact that you actually have one today. So bring it. Like, give it to me, girl.
Okay, here's the best part. Is you were like, you ready? And I was like, no. Oh, wait. But you said that you had a pun. And I was like, oh, because I watched the Parks and Rec episode with farmers market puns. So because I love food, I love vegetables, here are 3 puns from Leslie Knope at Parks and Rec. You ready?
Yes.
First one. This is the 3 rules of the farmers market. Number 1, peas, be kind to others. Number 2, in case of a fire, remain calm. Saying these out loud is literally funnier than just reading them. Okay, and then 3, you won't believe how nice all of our vendors are. Huh? It's good.
I'm gonna probably walk around today and just be like, remain calm, people. Remain calm.
And if anyone's ever seen that episode of Parks and Rec, like, it is one of my favorite because it's all about shard bodies and how, like, it's so hard to sell shard because it tastes like a diaper, and it's like, so you try to sell shard, and I'm like, you're right, it is hard to sell shard. It does taste disgusting most of the time. Just does.
Well, I won't eat that stuff. I don't like it either. But I'm also not a beet girl. I'm not like the I know beets are good. I get it.
No, but here's my story, because I used to hate beets too. I know it's your interview, but here's my story. Is I used to hate beets so much. Like, I would put them, like, I tried to hide them because I knew they were so good for me. And like, I put them in juice and I hated it. It was awful.
Yeah.
I tried to cover cheese on them. Nothing worked. But quinoa and beets are in the same family. So is chard. So I figured out, so I started eating a lot more quinoa, and then I actually like chard with like lemons. So I started eating a lot more chards and a lot more bitter foods. And then eventually I ended up trying to beet again because I realized as I was doing it what I was doing. And now I love them.
Oh, like, funny.
But a big key is you got to get a beet from the farmer's market, because they taste absolutely so much different than beets in the store. Like, it's night and day.
Okay.
Just should you want to ever endeavor again, start with quinoa.
I like quinoa.
And then try a golden beet from the farmer's market. With goat cheese, and it might change your mind.
All right. So just be warned, if I try it and I spit it up, I'm going to call and curse you.
Yeah. No, I think that's the only fair option if I make you do something you hate. Yes. I think that's
okay. Deal. We're shaking on this. That's what's going on right now. All right, Erica, let's talk like for real. Like, let's get into this for a second, because I know that our audience, including myself, have struggled at some point or currently when it comes to food, nutrition, when it comes to your health. And it's like one of those things that seems like to continuously suck the joy right out of our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know you work with a lot of people. So talk to us about how and why this stuff is like robbing us of our joy.
So it's a super complex question, but I think there's a couple things that really stick out to me as you're speaking. The first, and I said this to actually a client yesterday, is health is really personal. So it feels like when we make a comment about your diet, we're making a comment about you, right? Work, you can almost separate. Different, like there's relationships, you can almost separate yourself from it. But with food, it's literally something that's going inside of you, so it's a part of you. And I think that when that happens, people get so hurt so easily and so easily offended by it. So I think that that's a big piece. And the other thing is, I've been saying this a lot, is it's never about the food. And we don't realize that. So we think that the food is not bringing us joy, or that we're doing things wrong, or that we need to put all these things in place. But really, Janine Ross says this all the time, is your world is on your plate. So all food is a reflection of what you don't like in your other, outside of the realm of the kitchen, or the plate, or your food. And so we're literally ingesting things we hate, right? Or we don't like. And so that it's not as conscious, but that subconscious truth, I think, is what gets a lot of us in trouble.
Yeah. Let's dive into that for a second, because I feel like that is like laser 7 Lotus shit right there. Like, I mean, it's like some deep level ninja stuff right there. So I think we need to just like unmask that a little bit deeper. So explain to me, like, okay, my food on my plate. So when I'm diving into cheeseburgers and French fries, like, how is that like a reflection of myself? Like, break it down for me so I understand this a little more.
Sure. So there's two ways to go about it, right? The first is if we have a really healthy relationship with food, cheeseburger and French fries. Okay. Like I
like them.
I'll eat it, and like, I have no problem with it. Right. It doesn't, my senses aren't offended. But when we have an unhealthy relationship with food, it depends on how you eat that burger. So let's say, you don't want it and you do it. Well, what other areas of your life are you doing things that you don't want to do, but you're doing it anyways?
All right.
Right.
So ninja status exposed.
From from please romaine, in case of fire, romaine come. Let's go right here. But so that's one way that you can look at it. The other piece too is like what I see a lot of times is people either overeat, like you eat too much of, not like, there's a cheeseburger and fries, it's a lot of food. Like, it's not too many calories per se, but it is a lot of food, right? Depending on what you ate that day. So you're stuffing yourself. And it's like, where else do you feel that you're overstuffed? Or what are you trying to numb through other mechanisms? That's like another piece where I see a lot of people where they'll eat on the go. And when you eat on the go, there's not necessarily anything wrong with it, depending on the frame of mind you're in. But it's like, I don't have time. So you don't have time. So you pick up a burger and fries from a drive-thru and you shove it in your mouth as you're driving.
Yeah.
Where else are you cutting yourself off for other people, right? And then and then you hate it. So you're making yourself feel that way. So I can't believe I'm fucking doing this. Sorry. Can I?
You're fine.
I'm sorry that I'm doing this, or that I don't want to be doing this, and I am. And I hate that I'm doing it. So I'm going to put something in my body that I hate, so that I can feel the pain that I feel I need to feel in order, you know what I mean? In order to match that vibration or that feeling in my body. So yeah.
Dude, we're like 10 minutes into this episode and I'm over here going like, oh my gosh, like this is like the jam. It's deep, like for real. Like, I mean, I've never really thought about food in that way, but the reality is there's an old saying that how you do anything is how you do everything. And so here we are, like, this is a great representation of like where we're stuffing maybe to numb out, or because we just don't have time, or that we're just making decisions, that are easy versus, healthy, where we are, telling a story behind this food in a way that is shaming or validating these belief systems that they're not enough, that they're unworthy, that they suck. And then it just continues to catapult and escalate from that space. Now, Erica, like, I know you've got a story around this as well. Like, you didn't just jump into being like a health ninja without, this ninja's my word today. I see.
I'm into it. I'm Asian. I'm for it. So it's cool.
Cool. All right. I'm like, that word just keeps coming out. But you have a story behind this as well, because I suspect that you always didn't have the perfect relationship with food. And I know you don't have perfect, that we're going to throw that word out the window, but tell us about how this has actually been true in your world too.
So I love that you said that, because I think there's so many people that will look at like quote unquote experts or influencers and they'll say, oh, they have it all together. Like I can't be them. And I'm like, sister friend, the only reason we do what we do is because we've been through it. Like you don't get to do this work because everything was perfect. You do it because everything was not.
Yeah.
And so for me, my quick story is that, for most of my life, I hated the way I looked and felt. So I would get up in the morning, I would look at myself in the mirror and I'd be like, ugh, again, like, which is crazy. I literally saw pictures of myself from high school and I'm like, you used to think you were like, what in the absolute? But I would see it and I would hate what I looked like and felt like. And to be fair, I was about 10 to 15 pounds heavier than I was now. And so the problem that I ran into was that I worked in cardiovascular health. I worked in public health. I worked in healthcare. So I did everything everyone said, and I couldn't get healthy. And it wasn't until, I honestly, I worked at this, I'm going to just say it. So I used to work at this nonprofit, and you ever know when something's so wrong and like, but you don't want to know that it's wrong?
Yeah,
like yeah. So I took that upon myself to numb out with wine and food because wine allows you to eat a lot. And then I would get up every morning and I would go to the gym and I tried to sweat it out, which I did, but then I would repeat the process. And it turns out a bottle of wine a night, not the healthiest thing, so on and so forth. But
really,
but you don't know because so many other people are doing it.
Yeah.
Do you, like the amount of people who actually numb out on alcohol, like not alcoholics, but like just use that as a tool to numb out is really, it's not surprising, but it is at the same time. And so, anyways, I used to do this cycle and I realized somewhere inside me was like, this is wrong. Everything you're doing is wrong. Like you're in these meetings with pharmaceuticals that feel really off. You're with government agencies and big nonprofits that are taking money that they like, it doesn't feel like they should be. They're promoting science that just, it doesn't like logically, it doesn't make sense. And so I left and then I went to a different organization where we were into similar issues because sometimes I have to relearn lessons. But at that same time, I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. So I went to Tufts Medical. I got my master's there in health communication, behavior change, started to learn some of this stuff, got really curious, still couldn't quite figure out why I couldn't solve my problem, given that I had all this knowledge. I was like, I had all this schooling, I had all this knowledge. I was working at the place that I wanted to work, like all of this stuff. And came back to my hometown of Indianapolis, joined this thing called the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. Bonnie, my whole body changed in 6 months without trying.
Wow.
Like women hate when I say that, but they shouldn't, because that means that it's possible for you. Yeah. Like I literally woke up one day and I was like, okay, I am mad at you. Like, was just like, oh my God, like I look great. Like I look really good. How did this happen? My pants are loose. Like all of these things that you think will happen one day and like you pray for it happened. Yeah. And when I started to dig into why this happened, I realized everything I had sold, I believed in at the time, but now I don't. Now I know something different. Yeah. And so I hit a point where I was like putting cinnamon in curry, locking my dog out, like Kardashian crying when like my husband Nick would say something that would like hurt my feelings just a little bit. And I was like, okay, something has to change. And so that is when I decided essentially to take what I knew that I was like being pulled in too many directions, like what I believed to be true and what's not true. And finally took the leap to like leave and really do this, and then just keep digging more and more, because when I got healthy, I did the beginning steps, but now that I know what health is, it's like the more and more and more I gather it, the more and more I can't shut up about it, because we're doing health so wrong in this country, and we're blaming ourselves instead of the broken system.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So of course, like I've got like 50 questions add on to the back end of this, and the two biggest ones is number one, I would love to know your redefinition of health. All right. So we're going to put that in the remember sphere. Okay. The other one too is, what do you think it was that really allowed the weight to start melting off? And I say melting off because, it was just naturally with the right, it's just like, putting an ice cream cone out in the sun. It doesn't force it to melt, right? It just naturally start to melt under the right conditions. But if you're trying to melt an ice cream cone in a freezer, it's not going to work. So what really was it internally that shifted, that allowed the weight to finally melt off?
I believed it would happen. So
should we just drop the mic?
are we
Episode's done.
But really, I love that you said melt, because I say release. I let like I release the weight from my body. Because what happened was I tell people a lot, like, you can't get freedom through shackles. So I was like, oh, like so tight, so regimented, had to do it this way, needed rules, but I wanted food freedom. But yet I'm like tied up and chained up when I was like, hey, everything's just data. I'm going to try to figure this out. It's going to be a fun experiment, and I'm going to try to have the best time that I can and learn as much as I can during it. It released shackles.
Yeah.
And so the weight released off, because instead of being wound up so tight, I like literally let myself release the need to drop weight and just get healthy.
Yeah.
That shift of like, okay, I'm going to get healthy and I can, versus like I need to lose weight and I can't, was a huge shift for me personally.
You know, and I can relate to this so well. It's not something I talk about all the time, but I struggled with bulimia for years. The reason why I picked up this eating disorder in my 20s was because when I came out here to California, I moved out to California. I had $300 to my name, one-way ticket on a train, right? When I moved out here, I literally was detoxing on the train from being a drug addict and a drinker. And so when I came out here, of course, like all of these things that I was using the drugs and alcohol to repress was all of a sudden bubbling to the surface. So I turned to food as a controller. Yep. Well, my body shifted, right? I gained 30 pounds more than I am now. And so my entire, like, in a part of it, well, not during the binging and purging, but once I stopped the binging and purging and I decided to really invest in on the health, and I was following all the rules and I was doing everything right. And it really did feel so shackled. And I mean, you're really giving words to the experience of how, when it all shifted was when I remember I was in treatment, and my therapist at the time came to me and said, Bonnie, the only way you're ever going to be healthy is to learn to love this body you're in right now. You're like,
say for the people in the back, like, go ahead. Yes.
Was I had to love the body I was in right there, right then and there. That 50, like she was 35 pounds more than what she is now. Okay. She was bigger than she had ever been. But for the first time in her life, she was eating healthy-ish, you know, it's 80-20, right? And she's like, you got to let go of all of these expectations, all this shame, and just love the body you're in. And once you do, it'll all change, because I was spending hours at the gym. I was fighting to try to get that fit body back, and it wasn't working. And it wasn't until I literally stopped. Like I gave up the boxing arena, like the half marathon, all of the stuff. And I just decided every bite I was eating that says, I love my body. I am fit and healthy. And I would walk instead of fighting and shackling. And I have been the same way, Erica, for 7 years now.
Yeah, I believe it. A, congratulations, but B, hey, that's normal if you do it this way, right? Like that's what happens, because I love, there was so much that I love that you were saying, but it's this idea of like loving yourself now. And what's hard is people hear that and they're like, yeah, but you're not me.
Yeah.
You don't get it. And I just want to, if someone's thinking that, or they're like, how the heck, I'm here for it, Bonnie and Erica, I want to do it, but I don't know how. I think the really important thing for people to hear is the way that you love yourself now is, or I find to be the most helpful. There's other ways too, but like in the health journey, is you expect to feel a certain way when you look a certain way, right? So if I'm going to be 35 pounds thinner, if I'm going to be 50 pounds thinner, I expect to feel light and free and happy and all those things. And your only job then is to figure out what is your feeling, what are the feelings you expect, and then start to feel them now. So that's how you love yourself, because your version of love is actually tied up in these feelings that you expect love to feel like. And if you start to experience them now, you will train your brain, this is what we're after. And when your brain knows what we're after, it will start to go try to find it. And so that's how you end up being lighter, freer, happier on the journey and loving yourself, because that's your definition of love. And you're training your brain to go after that feeling in the first place, so you can let go of some of this stuff.
That is so poignant, like just so powerful and rich right here, girls. Like if you're listening to this, like seriously, I mean, future cast, like put yourself like, okay, I'll be happy when, like how many of us say that for real? Like, I mean, when I'm 30 pounds lighter, when I get back to my weight before, like pre-baby weight, right? When I, whatever. And when we constantly put ourselves back in that space, it's like we're pushing and tossing our joy, kicking the can of joy down the road, truthfully.
Yep.
And so what Erica's saying here is like, instead of kicking the can, let's evaluate the can and say, what's in here? What feelings am I searching for? And how can I apply that into my life today? How can I stimulate that in me now? Because feelings can be generated as with this something as simple as a thought.
Yep. Totally.
Girl, I love this. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is, again, now we're only 20 minutes in and I'm like, this is so good.
Oh, I mean, I'm having the best time. So like,
Yeah,
let's
good.
keep it going.
Well, we love each other, so that helps.
true.
All right. So the next question now, we're going to pull it back from the remember sphere. I'm totally remember sphere. That's pulling that
It's a
down.
word.
It's a totally word. Yeah. Yeah. I said a joyitude the other day and everybody's like, what? And I'm like, it's not Bonnie's made up word. It's like when you have a joyful attitude, joyitude, like your joyitude's on point, girl.
I feel like we're in Mean Girls with like taco. Stop trying to make fetch work, Gretchen. Stop trying to make fetch work. But I'm into joyitude. I just want to, but
the other word I made up was joyosphere the other day too.
I'm here for that one.
Yeah.
I'm here for that one.
Yeah. I'm like, I exist in like the joyosphere. Like that's my world. Like it's my joyosphere is on point.
But that's what I was saying before I get on. Like so many people are like, not so many people. There's a lot of people who are like, I'm joyful, but they're really not. Like you and Jillian are like bundles of joy. Like you are some of the happiest people I know. And it's so fun to be in your presence because of that. It's like joy, 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 happy, happy, happy. Like Jillian is a walking ray of sunshine. Like,
yeah. Oh, totally.
That is what, like when we're together, it makes no sense, right?
Yeah.
Like it does what it doesn't because I'm like cussing and in like ripped jeans and she's like in beautiful like butterflies and flowers and like smiling with like birds circling her like head. Like it's the best. Like
she is a little Cinderella. Oh yes, no, like we both have this genuine, deep, rich, like fulfillment of joy, and that comes from us doing the work though. So I want to put that out there. It was like we're all born this happy, and then the world conditions us not to be. And when we can reconnect back to, the truth that's underneath all the layers of muck and mud that we've been thrown and we throw at it, is that anybody could be this ridiculous.
And it's really fun. It's like I'm working toward your level, but I literally had someone be like, you put family, career, and happiness, and then you have spirituality. Those are your 4 pillars. You need to just focus on happiness and everything will come together.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, it's true. And I'm not happy about it. I'm like,
I love it. Yeah, we say get your mind right and everything else is going to fall into place because, joy emanates from the mind and from the heart. And when we can balance those two places out, wonderful things can happen.
100%.
All right. So we're off track a little bit.
Okay.
I want to pull us back just for a second because the remember sphere. No, I just can't even say the word I made up, but, we want to redefine health. We want to really understand what is wrong with the health system, what is healthy, and what we can do about it. Not to like stack on 3 questions right there, but truthfully, that's where we want to take the rest of this episode. Okay. So tell us what is wrong with the system. Like what is plaguing all of us?
So from a pure mechanical standpoint or pure mechanics, is the idea, like we do calorie in, calorie out. That's basically how we live health in America, right? Like I can outrun a burger. If I count my calories and I stay under 2,000 or whatever, then I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to do calorie deficit. And that is for me, that's our biggest issue because you can't outrun a burger. And there's no way you're going to tell me that 100 calories of kale has the same effect in my body as 100 calories of Oreos. It's not. Like, I mean, when I say it out loud, you're like, duh. But that's how we are tracking our food, right? Like we're like, no, it's only 600 calories. Yeah, but it's 600 calories of a cheeseburger and french fries.
Yeah.
That's different than 600 calories from a kale sandwich or a kale salad, or a kale sandwich. You wrap it around in a sweet potato burger. But so I think that's the biggest piece, because when you really look at how do you drop weight, I'm really conscious to try to say not lose weight, because I don't want you to find it again. So I'm like, so I think that's also a shift for people. Like, losing means you have to find it again. Like, we ain't trying to find stuff here. So when you drop weight, it's 80% food and 20% diet. Any good trainer will tell you it's 70-30. Anyone in the nutrition field or stress field will tell you it's 80-20 when it comes to your food. So we're all trying to go to Orange Theory. We're all trying to go to run marathons. We're all trying to do all these things, but it's like, if you eat right and you eat which means eating for your body, not following some particular diet, you eat for your body, you will drop that weight and then you'll be able to stick with it for 7 years, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens. So I think that for me is the biggest piece of it, is the fact that we talk about calorie in, calorie out, and we don't differentiate calories.
Yeah.
But we have to.
Yeah. So one thing I want to add to that, because the thing that you mentioned earlier on in this episode as well, is how we tie our identity into this. We take it very personal when it comes to this. So there's an element of this, where we're shifting, where we eat for our bodies, like you said. So one of the, not necessarily concerns, one of the flags that I have up that I want to make sure that we address is how would someone do that what is that first step that they would need to do when their kind of identity is maybe tied up into their weight or their looks, or that they're emotionally using food as a crutch?
That's a really good question. And what I always say to people is, the one thing you should do, there isn't one thing you should quote unquote do, for the masses. There's one thing you uniquely should do. So when I say to you, Bonnie, what one thing can you do to improve your health? What would you say?
Today, go for a walk.
Yeah. Okay. And mine
Get off my butt.
And mine's drink water. So if there's one thing I can do to improve my health, I'm not taking in enough water. I'm taking a fair amount, to be fair to myself. And probably you move too, but you could walk more and I could drink more water. But do you see how that one thing is different?
Yeah, very different. Yeah.
So I believe we intuitively know what to do, but we've cut off that voice. And so in this exercise, I'm making you connect back with the intuitive wisdom that your body has and that you have, and helping you take a step. So usually what happens is we're like, oh my God, I need to change everything and all the things. And I've got to work out 5 times a week. And then I got to eat clean. And then I need to drink all this water. And then I need to sleep 7 hours. And while I'm at it, why don't I meditate? And it's like, oh girl,
yeah,
that's too much. You're at 1 and you're trying to get to 10.
Yeah.
And so just pick one thing, get quiet, ask yourself, what is it? Don't second guess it. And then start to do that thing.
Yeah.
And then give yourself 2 or 3 weeks to nail it, have the confidence that you can nail it, and then add the next habit. Because I believe habits build habits, but I believe you need confidence to build habits. So if you get one habit done, you get the confidence, then you can go ahead and build more habits, and then you can create the cascade effect, because it does feel so good.
Yeah, I love this so much. I was just listening to Atomic Habits. Have you dove into that? Yeah, so good, right?
So good.
Well, one of the things he talks about is the compound effect of the 1%. And this is what you're saying, right? It's that one little thing, and then mastering that one little thing before you move on to the next thing. And what he was calculating, it says by the end of the year, if every day you just strive to be 1% better, you'll be 37% better than you were by the end of the year. Mm-hmm. Think about that. If you were 37% lighter, emotionally, mentally, physically, how would you feel?
And that's the thing that I think is so important for people to hear, because people say to me, I'm a perfectionist, or I'm all or nothing. And I say, you're just setting yourself up for failure. You're just preparing yourself to fail. That's what you're doing. And let's just not. You gain this weight, or you're in this situation because of a host of things. It took you years to get here. Years. You didn't even know you were doing this to your body when it was happening. So give it some time to go back, because the reality is your body wants you to be healthy and happy. So it's not going to, if it took you 30 years to get to this spot, it's not going to take you another 30 years to get back. It's going to take maybe one out of 90 years. I mean, that's a drop in the bucket. Yeah. But we tend to not look at it like that. And so Atomic Habits, I just have to say, I think anyone who is struggling with their weight, it is one of the best reads, just because it helps you understand that you've got to change your identity first
Yes.
before, like, if you want to actually sustain the new habit. And we don't often talk about that
Yes.
when we talk about health.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I think that's just beyond important for us to begin to recognize that a lot of what we desire on the outside world starts with the inner world first.
Mhm.
How you perceive it, how you believe it, how you think about it, how you internalize it. And that's really what Erica specializes in, is like really making those connections between your health and your fitness and the results that you have, and like really helping to set you up for success. And I mean, many of us would never have connected the dots to say, if I think that, well, I'm all or nothing, a perfectionist, like that's really just your excuse to fail, right? It really is. It's like, this is what you're using as a mask of why you're not going to succeed. And let's not do that. And I think that's so powerful and very poignant. All right. So redefining health, like what is your new definition of health that we can all sink our teeth into?
So I feel like I'm going to let everyone down on this because
Speaking of setting ourselves up for failure, here we go.
because I think my definition of health is different than yours. And I think everyone has to create their own.
Awesome.
So for me, I want to be able to do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. Like, that's my definition of freedom, but wrapped in that is health. So when I think about health, it's being able to get up, do whatever I want to do. Like, if I want to go hike a mountain, if I want to water ski, if I want to play with kids, if I want to travel, my body has to be able to physically do that. And also for me, it's happiness, right? For me, health is wrapped up in happiness. Like, if you cannot be happy, you cannot be healthy. Like, they're synonymous for me. And so that's what my health journey means. Like, I can eat whatever I want without feeling a certain way. It means moving my body however I want to. Maybe I have to stretch before it happens, but like, I can get to do whatever it is that I want to do. And I'm really freaking happy.
Yeah.
Like, but that's my definition.
Yeah.
And so what I always encourage my clients to do and people I talk to do is create your own definition of health, because you are really a unique snowflake. Like, it's true. Like, there's only one of you. So figure out how you can love your body and yourself and your life, and like and how health fits into that. And I think if you're able to define it, going back to the feeling piece, if you define your own version of health, then you lock in those feelings so that you can actually go after them. So that's how I view it.
Awesome.
I think it's unique to you because not everyone wants to have a six pack, right?
What's funny, ironic enough, is that I don't have that desire anymore to have a six pack. Like, it was a thing that I super was like focused on, and I was like made sure that I was always having in my 20s. And, it just isn't the priority for me anymore. And, I agree with you. I think my definition of health is a little bit different, because one of my components of that is I don't want to feel shame or guilt if I decide to have ice cream tonight. Right? If I decide to have, a piece of birthday cake, like, I can't tell you how many years I wasted, like seeing it at a birthday party, like wanting to deny yourself of it at the birthday party, and then you reluctantly eat it at the party because they offer it to you not once but twice, and then you feel rude to say no, and then you totally eat the entire piece because it's so delicious and you haven't had it in so long, and then you just are feeling the whole day, you just think about, like, I got to do something to get rid of that cake, like that cake was so many
So my favorite thing about that, and by favorite I mean it's just something to nibble on, like, no pun intended, or no pun intended, because I'm on Rebels for Joy podcast. Pun intended. Is like, we eat that cake and then freak out like that one piece of cake is why we're overweight.
Yeah.
Like, girl, it ain't that piece of cake. Like, it just ain't. And it probably isn't all the other pieces of cake that you had. You think it is, but it's something more. So stop punishing yourself for an action that already happened. Stop living in the past and stop believing that it's that one decision that's your issue. Yeah. It's multiple decisions that led up to here. And so let go of this one. And then you're going to be able to let go of a lot of the other stuff. But to be fair, it is hard, right? It's the work that you talk about. Like, you don't get to just show up one day and be super happy and super healthy if you weren't yesterday. Yeah. But you can take steps forward. And sometimes it doesn't look like stepping on a treadmill. Sometimes it looks like doing the mental gymnastics, right? That's absolutely necessary in order for us to move towards the person we want to be.
Yeah. And I will say, like, I had to learn to become a gymnast when it came to that cake. I'll be honest, because for years after that, it was so much conditioning around cake equal bad, right? Sugar bad, this bad decision. When that's bad, then I'm bad for doing it. And I'm supposed to be healthy and fit and all of that around there. So when I decided to like unhook from all of this, this dogma and all of these, conditioned programs, so I could have a better relationship with food and allow myself permission to enjoy that piece of cake, because it's okay if I want to. I remember the ping pong match in the mind. Where I would have to like tell myself as I'm eating it as a bite, it's like, this is okay. It's okay for you to have this. It's okay. You are a healthy person. You make healthy decisions. And, if you want to, you can make healthy decisions for the rest of the day if this is your little splurge. But this one cake isn't going to make you fat. That's what I would tell myself. I'm like, I would have to like coach myself around eating it. And so imagine like anybody trying to interrupt me in that party, I'd be like, hold on, wait up. I'm like seriously having a moment with myself about me and this cake. Cause like this is an issue and I'm gonna just keep eating.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like, that is what happens. And we don't often talk about it, but it's like, combat the story, fight back, like, and tell yourself it's okay, because I tell people I want people making the best decisions for themselves 95% of the time. And sometimes that means the cake and glass of wine.
Yeah.
And here is, and you're welcome, statistic for people is that when you actually enjoy the thing you're eating, so if you actually enjoy cake, you will absorb the nutrients that are in there, the good stuff for you, more readily and easily if you do it. So if you fight and are stressed out, that thing's going to rip through you and you're not going to take in any of the good stuff. But if you sit and you savor, you're going to actually pull the nutrients that exist in that cake, because there are a few. You're going to pull them out. And you're welcome.
I just think about the song from Mohana, right? You're welcome. Have you heard that?
Oh yeah. I watched Mohana and I was like, oh my God.
I did too. I cried. Dwayne Johnson is probably one of my favorite male actors on the planet. Okay, not just because he's totally ripped and amazing, but he's actually genuinely like just appears to be a super really nice and loving dad and amazing person. Of course, it's my perception of him based on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm into it. I agree.
Yeah. So, however, he's got a great public image. But yeah, so that song, we sing it a lot in the house, where, like just something sarcastically, we'll just, jokingly say, my daughter, maybe TMI, but my daughter decided to take a gnarly number 2 the other day. And my husband walked in, he's like, oh, that smell. And I'm like, you're welcome. Oh yeah, we use it just sparingly. Anyways. So I think where we should like end this little segment here is really to recognize that redefining that process with food is going to take a little time, and to have a lot of grace, to fight back, to be willing to allow yourself, permission to enjoy the things and eliminating the labels of bad. Is that kind of where this is all kind of summarized together?
Yeah. The reality is there's healthy food and unhealthy food. That is just like, that's a truth, but you are not good or bad based on your food. And the one thing that just kept coming through as you were talking is that the reason a podcast like this is so important for your health isn't because of me, it's because of you. Because if you are joyful, like if you start to experience happy, true joy, live in the joyous sphere, you will by default drop weight.
Yeah.
When you have fun, when you love yourself, when you are fully in the moment, you don't have to change anything about your freaking diet. Yeah. You will by default drop weight. And that will encourage you to then go switch the diet and eat the kale and all that stuff. And so I just think it's a really important thing for people to hear is joy. Even though I say make your own formula for health, make your own definition, know that joy is actually a critical component of it. It is going to creep in some way. You might call it happiness, you might call it joy, you might call it freedom, but like that is part of the formula for a healthy life.
Oh, I love it. On this podcast, I'm like, yes.
But it's true.
It is true. You know, you'll make better decisions when you're in a better like attitude, when you have a better experience with. I mean, everything will be better when you feel better, and it starts with your choice to feel. It's not waiting for something to happen. It's not waiting for something to unfold. It's really being in that present moment and choosing joy as a standard of your living. And that's one of the foundations here, is choosing joy as a standard. And I love that that's kind of where we're wrapping this all together with a big bow that just says, like, girls, like, it's time to find joy again with food. It's time to find joy again with your body, right where it is right now. Yeah. Not the future body, not the past body that you're trying to get back to, right? The body you're in now, where you can just love the crap out of her, all right, with so much grace, and knowing that she is perfect, whole, and complete just as she are. And because you love her so much, you're choosing to make better decisions. You'll choose it because you're happy versus the shackles and the restriction. Like, Erica, like, this whole episode is filled with just juicy nuggets. I feel like I need to go to Whole Foods and get me some juice for as juicy as this is.
Oh my God, you're my favorite. But yes, a green juice, please.
Yeah, I actually love green juice too. Like,
it's good.
Yeah, I'll drink the juices that have beets in them. So maybe I don't
just stick with green. Like, maybe like have some more quinoa, and then we'll try the beet thing. I'll make it for you in May.
I was gonna say, when you come out here in September or in May, for the Rebels Dream Bigger event, you're gonna end up like sneaking them into my coffee. I just feel it.
Yeah, I mean, at least you know. And when it tastes better, you'll be like, thank you, Erica. I'll be like, oh, you're so welcome. Bye.
I love it. So for those of you who don't know, that's our big announcement, is Erica Ballard will be out here in Sacramento, California for the May 29th and 30th Rebels Dream Bigger event. She is going to be taking the stage on Friday to help us dream bigger and better when it comes to our bodies and our health. Like, I can't wait to just see what you bring to the table, girlfriend. Like, it's just going to be amazing and magical.
I'm so, like, you know, I'm so honored. I'm so excited. I was just like, how can I support? And you're like, you can be on stage. I was like, oh, dang. I was like, okay. Cause you guys are such wonderful women, but it's like, you truly are so invested in people's happiness and life. It's so palpable when you guys are together, how much you care, and to watch the women transform. Because we've seen it a little bit. We saw it a lot at Jillian's event, but now you guys coming together, I'm like, all right, go ahead. Like, y'all, it's going to be magic. And then to know the other folks that are speaking, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. No, I am so excited. So we've got some huge announcements on all of those coming up as well, you guys. So lastly, Erica, where can people find you? Like, where's your jam? Where do you hang out? And then also, how can they stay in touch with you? What you got for them, girl?
Okay. So I hang out a lot on Instagram. I also hang out quite a bit on LinkedIn because I work with corporations. So those two places you can find me. And the third thing is, I think I told you this, our podcast is going to come out in April or May. So it's a short series called The Lies You've Been Fed, and it's breaking down all the lies that we've ever told ourselves about food and health, and helping people really understand the science behind it and where to look and how to find your guide. So that'll be coming out. So if people are interested in that, I have a newsletter they can join, but what I can also do too, just because I think it'll be helpful as we like start this off, is I can send you a freebie to like my pantry essentials list. So people know like what to put on, what to do. And if you grab that, you'll also be informed of when the podcast and things come.
Yeah. So, and you have a podcast now too called The Full Plate, right?
Well, I did, but I put it on pause.
Okay. For the new one.
So we're actually going to this, it's me and this like 57-year-old former banker named Fabrice. We could like our tagline is like cufflinks and chucks. You know who's in chucks? It's me. like couldn't be two different people, but coming together to like really break it all down, particularly for working women, because like, hello, we're like, someone's got to talk to us. I feel like they're always talking to like men and da, da, da. So we're going to do that.
Yeah. No, it's the rise of women right now. And I just like love that you are shining a bright light and helping us redefine our definition to food and with our bodies and with ourselves, and that you're taking it into the workforce. So it's like, if you're listening to this and you know that your company is open-minded to having a health expert come in and help their employees redefine their relationship with food, guys, like reach out to Erica. She's going to be in all of our show notes. She's here. She's super accessible. And even if you're just listening and like you've got questions and you're like curious about what's going on, like she's so easy to connect with and she's hysterical. Okay. Like hysterical.
I am funny.
And we laugh for hours when we're around each other. It's just straight magical. So hopefully you guys have, if you're in or deciding to come out to the Sacramento area, you could give her and myself and Jillian a grizzly bear hug at the Rebels Dream Bigger event. Links to that are in the show notes as well. I believe at this point, we still have an early bird special going on. So let us know, girl, sister, we're here. Erica, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.